You know that feeling when you've been through so much that hope feels almost dangerous, like if you believe again and it doesn't work out, you won't survive it? Neuroscience just explained exactly what's happening in your brain in that moment. And what it says changes everything. Here are 10 neuroscience and psychology facts about hope: what it actually is, what it does to your brain, and how your mind rebuilds it after it's been completely destroyed. And the last one. It genuinely moved me to tears. Fact 1. Hope is not a feeling. It is a neurological process. Neuroscience shows that hope is not just wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is a biological process that shapes how our brains regulate emotion, plan for the future, and recover from trauma. So every time someone told you to just be hopeful, they were unknowingly asking you to perform a full neurological function. It was never just a mindset. It was always a brain event. Fact 2. When you feel hope, 3 specific brain regions light up simultaneously. Hope activates several interconnected regions of the brain, particularly the prefrontal cortex, anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, and dopaminergic reward system. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for planning and decision-making, and it allows us to imagine future possibilities and strategize ways to reach them. When we feel hopeful, the PFC helps us visualize positive outcomes and make plans toward them. Your brain doesn't just feel hope. It builds it region by region, like construction work happening in real time. If this is already reframing something you've been carrying, like and subscribe. Studies show that people who understand their own neuroscience daily make more hopeful, more courageous life decisions. This channel is your reset button. Fact 3. The moment hope sparks, so does dopamine. Dopamine, the motivation neurotransmitter, fuels movement toward a goal. When you feel a spark of hope, dopamine is often behind it. This reinforces the belief that effort could lead to reward. Here's the part that blew my mind. Functional MRI studies show that when people imagine positive future events, these regions light up, just as they do when we experience pleasure or reward. In other words, hope gives the brain something to work toward, even before anything changes externally. Your brain starts rewarding you for believing before a single thing in your life has changed yet. Fact 4. In a 1950s experiment by Dr. Kurt Richter at Johns Hopkins University, domesticated rats placed in a cylinder with no escape, in water that was typically around, usually gave up after about 15 minutes and died of exhaustion/drowning. Meanwhile, rats that were rescued briefly before giving up in a water container swam for 40, 60+ hours, compared to 15 minutes for those with no hope. This showed that when hope, via rescue, was introduced, the rats believed survival was possible and continued swimming. Hope is not one thing. It is 2 neurological engines working together. According to renowned psychologist Dr. Charles R. Snyder, hope is not just wishful thinking. It's a cognitive process. He defined hope as a combination of willpower, the motivation to achieve a goal, and way power, the strategies to reach it. According to Snyder, hopeful individuals don't just desire a better future. They actively plan ways to achieve it. This means you can't have real hope without both engines running. Desire without strategy is just wishing. This means you can't have real hope without both engines running. Desire without strategy is just wishing. Strategy without belief is just planning. Hope is what happens when both fire at once. Try this. Write down one goal and one specific step toward it. You just activated both hope engines. Fact 5. Here's what happens in your brain when hope goes dark and why it's so hard to climb back out. When hopelessness sets in, brain activity shifts. The prefrontal cortex and ACC show decreased activation, while stress systems, especially the amygdala and HPA axis, ramp up. This creates a loop. The more we feel trapped or powerless, the more the brain prioritizes threat detection over creative problem solving. Over time, chronic stress can blunt dopamine activity, leaving us feeling flat, disengaged, and detached from the future. You weren't being dramatic when you couldn't see a way forward. Your prefrontal cortex was literally going offline. That wasn't weakness. That was neuroscience. Seriously, if nobody has ever explained your brain to you like this before, smash that like button. Subscribe. Because the next video in this series might be the most important one you ever watch. Fact 6. Scientists actually found a way to increase hope using dopamine, and the results were extraordinary. One study found that enhancing people's dopamine function increased their prediction bias in an optimistic direction. In this study, participants were administered with a drug that enhanced dopaminergic function or a placebo, and were tasked with providing estimates of their likelihood of experiencing various adverse life events. Those in the experimental group were more likely to make optimistic predictions than the control participants. Given the overlapping components of hope with optimism and positive thinking, there is a high probability that dopamine contributes to the expression of hope. It means hope isn't just born from good circumstances. It is chemically buildable inside your brain. Right now. Today. In Okinawa, Japan, a blue zone where people live the longest, they live by the concept of ikigai, or a reason to get up in the morning. It linked by researchers like Dan Buettner to adding up to 7 years of life. This sense of purpose, which often replaces the concept of retirement, drives daily activity, lowers stress, and is supported by strong community ties, moai, resulting in exceptionally long, healthy lives. Fact 7. Hope doesn't just change your brain. It changes your body. Dr. Jerome Groopman, a physician and researcher, found that patients with hope release more dopamine, a neurotransmitter that enhances motivation and reduces fear. Dopamine not only lifts our mood but also helps regulate essential brain functions, including memory and concentration. This means that hopeful people are more likely to persevere through adversity because their brains are biologically primed to seek solutions rather than dwell on problems. And it goes even deeper. Research at the University of California suggests that hopeful thinking reduces cortisol, the stress hormone that, when elevated, can lead to anxiety, depression, and physical health issues. Hope literally lowers your stress hormones. It is medicine that your brain makes for free. Try it. Close your eyes for 30 seconds and vividly imagine one positive future moment. Your cortisol just dropped. Science. Fact 8. Hope is the single strongest predictor of bouncing back. A study published in Psychological Inquiry revealed that individuals with high levels of hope tend to bounce back more quickly from setbacks, experiencing less emotional turmoil along the way. And hope is contagious in the most beautiful neurological way. Studies suggest that hope can be contagious. Being around hopeful individuals can inspire similar feelings in ourselves, creating a ripple effect that enhances collective well-being. This means the most powerful thing you can do for someone drowning in hopelessness is simply let them see your belief. Your hope is literally neurologically transmissible. Fact 9. Hope can be rebuilt. Deliberately. Scientifically. One micro-moment at a time. When life feels overwhelming, the brain needs micro-proof that things can shift. Set one small, achievable goal daily, like opening the window, texting a friend, or making your bed. Each completion gives your brain a dopamine boost, reminding your nervous system that effort matters. And connection accelerates it. Hope thrives in connection. When you share space with someone calm, safe, and attuned, your nervous system mirrors that safety through neural co-regulation. Your brain rebuilds hope the same way it rebuilds anything, through small, repeated, meaningful action. Not through one giant leap. Through 1,000 tiny ones. Fact 10. And here is the one that completely broke me open. Hope is a cognitive process by which an individual can identify their personal goals and develop actionable steps to achieve results. It has the potential to positively impact people's lives by building resilience, and can be meaningfully experienced at both the individual and group level. But what floored me was this: hope engages the nucleus accumbens and ventral tegmental area, VTA, key players in the brain's reward system. These regions release dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, strategic vision, and breakthrough thinking. When we envision breakthrough outcomes or imagine overcoming challenges, the brain rewards us with dopamine surges. This creates a feedback loop. Hopeful strategic thinking triggers dopamine, and dopamine reinforces innovative action, strengthening the neural pathways that sustain strategic optimism over time. Every time you allowed yourself to believe, even for a second, that things could get better, you were building a neural pathway. A literal road inside your brain that makes believing again easier the next time. And the time after that. And the time after that. Hope is not something you either have or don't. It is something that can be cultivated or rebuilt, through consistent, intentional practice. Point 1. You didn't lose hope permanently. You lost access to it temporarily. And your brain has been quietly rebuilding the road back this entire time. The last fact is the one that stayed with me, because it means hope isn't something that happens to you when life gets better. It's something your brain builds when you give it even the smallest reason to try. You didn't lose your belief. Your brain just ran out of evidence. Give it one small piece of proof today. Watch what it builds next. Follow for more neuroscience that meets you exactly where you are and tells you the truth about your own brain.